Alright, so now we're going to have to set up our actors. And according to the script, we have a narrator, we have Akira, protagonist, that's 3, Yuki, that's 4, and Sensei Tanaka, so that's 5 different actors. So we can set those up. So let's just call them as they are in the script. So Akira, so we're going to create the actors. I'm going to create an actors folder. So we'll go and create, game creator, dialog, actor. So Akira, okay, name Akira. That's all we need. And the default is an expression. We can fill that in a minute. The typewriter effect, we can adjust the frequency depending on how fast the voiceover is. That's what you would adjust that for. If you don't have a voiceover, you don't need to adjust it. Or if you want the text to come faster, then you can speed that up. So we could duplicate this one. So the narrator usually doesn't have a sprite, so that's fine. And then we've got protagonist, or it could be called the player. And then Yuki, I think it was. And the last one, Sensei Tanaka, who has one line in the whole thing, I think. I think so, yeah. And we will call him Tanaka. Okay, so now, where do we get the sprites from? So now we have this, there's this free package that I mentioned in the intro that we're going to use, and that's, I think it's called Free Anime Character Pack 6. So when you import this, I'll just import this. It comes in like this. So if you go to characters and take a look at these are full body characters. And they have 4 different expressions. But the problem is in these actor sprites, they're expecting like 512 by 512 square sprites, 512 by 512. I know this because if you look at the examples, actors and the sprites, if you look at the sprites that comes with it, these are 512, max size 512. So 512 by 512. So we want to do the same. So what we can do here is open this and show it in Explorer. And then what we do is we can open each one of these in Affinity, which is free, or you can use Photoshop or whatever editor you have. But Affinity is free if you get that one. And then all you need to do for each one of these is to go into the crop tool and just select a roughly square area around the head, and then we press enter to crop it, and then export as PNG and you can update this to 512. Turn off the lock aspect ratio, so it'll allow you to make it square. It doesn't have to be exact. And then export, and then we can, so we go into assets and save it into actors, and then we're gonna create a new folder, sprites. So we'll put that in here. And then you can do that with the rest of them. If you want multiple expressions, you can do all four for each one of these. I'm just going to bring in a subset that I did earlier. So we go here. So I have a bunch of them here. I'm just going to take them and drag them into project. This one looks like it was done twice. I'm going to delete that one. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't need 5 because one of them's the narrator. So actors. So now we can go in here, and for each one we can assign a sprite. So Akira, which one? I don't know which one. You can assign whatever one you want. I'll go with this one. And that's default. I guess I'm going to call it default. And then so for each one of these we're going to, so narrator doesn't have one. Protagonist. I'll go with this one. Tanaka. I don't know. I'll go with this one. And Yuki. Let's do this one. And then call it default. Or you could call it idle or whatever you want. So, okay. Narrator doesn't have it. I'm just going to call it default anyway. Default. So we have, so those are set up. So if we go back to the dialog, for each one of these, now I'm going to delete this, go to choice. So now if I go back to my script, I can see who delivered those lines. So the first one, Akira. So we have to set the actor on each one of these. And all we have to do is select the actor. So Akira. And the other thing you can do in the settings here, so now you'll see the actors will show up in here. This is more for 3D than 2D. We don't need to put anything in there. You can say display actors. If you turn that off, then you don't see them in here. If you turn that on, it's just for display purposes in here. So I like to see who's saying each line. So then the protagonist, Akira, protagonist. So she's doing this one. This one's protagonist. And this one. And then when you assign them, you can also select their, if you have multiple expressions, that's where you select it. Protagonist, then we got the next one, protagonist. This one will be the narrator, because it's just the game asking you to make a choice. Now we go with, you don't have to be perfect. Okay. That's down here. Oh, okay. Choice point. Yeah. Okay, hold on. We really need you. Oh, you don't have to be perfect. Oh, I guess I messed up. What happened there? Oh, okay, I must have, yeah. Oh, this got replaced. Okay, let me update that. That's what it should say. Okay, and it's the protagonist saying it. Then we have the endings. Then we do the rest here. That's it. So that ending, you don't see Tanaka. So that's the difference. It's longer too. All right, so that's done. We've got all our actors in place. One other thing with the actors is for the player, we want this default portrait to be in the primary position. This is referring to where in the GUI is it going to appear. Primary is typically the left side, and alternate would be the right-hand side, as we'll see. So the protagonist should be the left-hand side, and the other person he's talking to should be in the alternate position, I think. So the alternate for everyone else. Tanaka and the narrator can be in the primary position. So let's run this and see if it works. And as we'll see, it puts the portrait there. Now that we have actors, we're going to see this text go by slowly, and if you click it, it will go all the way. So if you want to speed it up, just click. Okay, so that's the primary, that's the alternate spot on the GUI. and then it's finished. So it is working now with actors, still no errors. So that's a good thing. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our backgrounds in. So we're going to bring in those backgrounds. I'm going to create a folder for those. Images, I guess. So we're going to drag them in here from where we downloaded them to. Okay. So I'm just dragging them in from Explorer. And I just have these 5 from that pack. So these are the ones. Classroom, there's a club room, front. That's for the main menu. That's for later. Hallway and the stairs. So first location is the classroom. So let's create, we need a canvas to hold these. So let's create a canvas for the backgrounds. Canvas for the backgrounds, and it's going to have scale with screen size 1920 by 1080. And then we can just add the backgrounds. Okay, so UI raw image, I think. Oh, these are sprites, right? I think these are. It recognizes this as a sprite, although it should be single. So let's just go through and make sure that says single. And if it doesn't recognize yours as a sprite, you can come in here and change it to sprite here easily if it says default. So that should do it. So now I'm going to create the first background. So that should be just an image, right? So BG classroom. And we're going to stretch this. So if we go Shift and Alt and click this, it'll stretch it to the entire size. And then the sprite is the classroom sprite. There we go. And we're just, right, for now, we're just going to have it so that it's being turned on and off when needed. So, and then in the main camera, we're going to make this black, the solid color. That way, when this is not displayed, it's just black. So now we want for the other 4, we can duplicate this for each one. Club room. And then we have the front, or school, I guess. That would be this one. Hallway. And the last one is the stairs. So there we go. And we aren't seeing anything except the classroom. But oh, come hallway, stairs. Oh, because I didn't replace it. There we go. Stairs. That's better. So we're just going to have them all inactive anyway. And then we're just going to activate them as we need to. So in the first one, we're in the classroom. So in here, in the dialog, we will use the on start instruction to activate that. So we'll just set active the classroom to true, and then it'll set the classroom. So the next change of location is scene 2 hallway, and that's right here. So we'll set active the hallway, and we would need to set inactive the classroom. So inactivate that and activate the hallway. And then, so the next one is scene 3, which is the stairwell. And we can just copy this. Scene 3, stairs. And we want to inactivate the hallway, I guess it is. Okay, next, the choice point is in the stairwell. So ending A is in the club room. Okay. So that is this one. So ending A is in the club room. So right here. Club room. And then we want to inactivate the stairs. Okay. And this one is in the stairs. So I think the stairs should still be active, but we'll make sure it's going to be active. So that should do it. All of our backgrounds. And so let's see how this looks. So here we have, there we go, our background. Now we're in the hallway, next scene. I've been walking around for an hour. Yeah, so that's the start of scene 2. Okay. Now we're in scene 3. All right, so that is that. So it works. So the other thing I want to do is to instead fade these in and out. We can put these in a canvas group. And the other thing I want to do also is to bring in some sprites. The bigger actor sprites, from the free character pack. We can bring the full-size sprites into the scenes. Like for instance, in the stairs, we have, I guess it's Yuki. So which one is Yuki? That's the hoodie one. So if we take hoodie 1, we can put it in here. Oh, so we need to. Oh no, it does. Did create it. Okay, so there we go. Hoodie 1. No, we don't want it to do that. We want to create a UI image. UI image. A U key. So, and the image would be hoodie 1. And it should be 900 by 1800. Okay, and then we can scale it down a little bit. And let's take a look here. And then we can move it so that she appears like this in the scene. But we're going to put these two in a canvas group. So create an empty parent. CG stairs for CG for canvas group, and then we'll create a canvas group, because then we can fade out and fade everything out in and out. So that's what we'll do. And then we can move this one around anywhere we want. We can... The thing is, we want to make it so that it's not interfering with the UI of the dialogue UI, right? So, and then in the dialogue, when we get to the stairs, which is stairwell scene 3, so anywhere we see stairs now, we want to activate the stairs, CG stairs, but we can also fade it in. So the canvas group alpha to 1 on that same object, say 2 seconds, and wait to complete. So we'll set it active, fade in, then get rid of the hallway. And then I think that's it for the stairs. So the classroom has Akira and we'll put Akira in, which is cloak 1. So let's do that. We're going to put it in the classroom. And the sprite is going to be this one. Okay. Okay, she goes to school in cosplay, I guess. And so then let's turn this on. And it's also, I think, 900 by 1200 by 1800. Pretty big. So we want to scale it down too. Scale it down. Maybe put it, I don't know, in the middle somewhere. And then put it inside a canvas group. Okay. And then in this thing, we're going to fade that in as well. Linear. Okay. Classroom. I can't. There we go. And scene 2, we're gonna. Yeah, we can just set the active to false, and doesn't matter because we're not going back to that classroom anyway. The hallway. Let's just run this and see what it does. Oh, I'm gonna have to. Okay, let's turn this off first, then see how it's gonna work. It's supposed to do this. So why isn't it? Oh, because it's the wrong object. Okay, so let's see. We're going to set this one active, and then the alpha to it, and then when we get to the next scene, which is here, you want to set this one false. Okay, let's try that. Okay, good. Okay, so that's pretty good. And then the hallway, we don't have anything, but we can always put something in. Then we're fading in to the stairwell. And then we have our choices here. All right, so that's it. So we can add some extra sprites in there and stuff. So the next thing I want to do is put a main menu and like an ending screen. So that's what we'll do next. And we're going to put that on a separate canvas, 2 separate canvases, one for menu and one for ending. So that will be what we'll do next.